Hello, my name is Cynthia, and I'll be introducing the family teaching plan. So I have the family structure of traditional nuclear. This involves the father MM, which is a 56-year-old Hispanic male. I have the mother MM of 45-year-old Hispanic female. And I also have 4 children, which involves MM of 25-year-old male, FM of 18-year-old male, MM again, of 16-year-old male, and lastly AM of 11-year-old male. There has been many recent issues with the family, specifically with health issues. However, one of the most important and concerning issues with the family is regarding the father's health. The father's health illness is affected by his 25 years of hazardous waste containment occupation. The family has stressed their concern for the father to retire from his occupation, which is deteriorating his health, specifically causing thrombocytopenia. This has caused a great stress in every family member, which is why teaching education will be regarding stress coping and therapeutic relieving measures. Some of the teaching education I will be elaborating in include what stress is, what causes stress, how stress affects your body and lifestyle, what can you do to minimize the stress, and what resources you can use to help control and minimize stress. And so something I did want to ask is, what current things do you cope with stress?
Like, what do I do currently? I like to just basically go into my room and like shut the door and just have like 10 minutes of quiet time. Sometimes I feel like that really helps me.
So quiet time is your relieving measure for stress? Nice. So let's go into it. So what is stress? So here we have a PowerPoint, and it shows that what stress is that stress can be defined as our mental, physical, emotional, and behavioral reactions to any perceived demands or threats. So a lot of us think that stress is just something, it could be something just physical or just mental, but in reality it affects all aspects of the body. So things that what stress can do and how we express stress is that we say we feel burnt out, we feel stressed out, we feel overwhelmed, we feel angry, we feel irritable, we feel depressed, we feel anxious, and sometimes we could say you're just losing it. Mm-hmm. So those are little examples of what stress can be. And so what causes stress? So what does cause stress is pretty much anything in life. So what makes something stressful are situations that have strong demands, situations that are imminent, life transitions, timing, and controllability. So how does stress affect the human body physiologically?
Wow. Now I want to start off right here.
Mr. Split.
Right there.
Yeah.
That little space, not too obvious, is it?
No.
Okay. That is called the pituitary gland.
Oh.
And this is the hypothalamus right behind it. This right there is the mind-body connection.
Wow.
The mind-body connection, of course, is what allows your brain and your body to begin to touch each other. Now, look, lean down here.
Yeah.
See if you can do this.
What
happens when the hypothalamus and pituitary get stimulated by stress is they turn on this organ right there. That's called the adrenal gland. That gland right there, right above the kidneys, like a dunce cap on the kidneys, actually releases epinephrine, norepinephrine, all these chemicals that get you going up because it's fight or flight. If something's coming at you and you're either going to fight it or you're going to run.
Yeah.
Now, here's the key part. New word, vagus. Like going to Vegas, baby, right? V-A-G-U-S, the vagus nerve. The body always has an antidote to a problem. Too much stress, turns out that the contracting force is this nerve here, right there. It's a small little nerve. It's located in the middle of the chest called the vagus. It actually comes from the brain. Now, the body has an autopilot system. The autopilot system is revved up by stimulus from stress, and it's calmed back down by this nerve. When the vagus nerve sends impulses out, it influences how the whole body works. Let me show you how it does it over here.
Okay. Who is this?
This is Mrs. Body.
Mrs. Body.
Mrs. Body, if you look up here, by the way, is again plastinated. Here's the heart, and these are the lungs. Notice the lungs have dark spots on them? Cigarette smoker. Cigarette smoker. So, here's the vagus nerve coming down.
Where's the thyroid, by the way?
Right there.
Oh, that's
I thought you might ask about that.
Little butterfly.
A butterfly right there. Now, by the way, notice the vagus nerve gives a branch off to the thyroid. It also gives a branch to your vocal cords.
Okay.
That's how you speak. This nerve sends branches to the heart, the lungs, the intestinal tract, and what it's saying is that it can calm you down. But what we never knew until recently was that 3/4 of what the vagus does is bring information back to you. And sometimes when there's too much content coming back, when you get those butterflies in your stomach, when everything's falling out, your brain short circuits. It can't cope with all the information flowing back from the wandering nerve. That's what vagus means, wandering. Now, here's a couple other little tips for you. This right here, the diaphragm. See how thick that is? Right. Now compare that to the little itty-bitty muscles here in between your ribs. When you take a deep breath, which is one of the ways we calm the vagus, we use this big, thick muscle, right? So it goes out because the vagus comes down. Keep it. And last thing, guess what that is? We've talked about it before. Momentum, right? Now, the momentum, notice, is in the belly. When you have a lot of stress, the body naturally will build up fat. Why? Because it thinks you're starving. Because 1,000 years ago, that's what stress meant. It's right next to the liver, which is here. So it can quickly ship in all the fat, all the calories you need.
That's the liver right there.
That's the liver right there. There's the stomach here, too. Wow. Now, when you understand the vagus, all of a sudden, it should be going off in your mind. The body has a natural built-in antidote to stress. Key is, how do I tap into it? That's the lesson.
I bet I know.
Tell me.
Meditation.
Meditation's key. Absolutely essential. The foundation prayer.
Yeah.
Things that allow you to focus on what's reality and knock off the small stuff.
Yeah.
That can strip decades, literally, off your life.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you already know this, but stress actually affects the human body differently depending on your gender. So being female or being male, the way that stress affects us is significantly different. So according to the Foundations of Psychiatric Mental Health and Nursing, men and women have different neural responses to stress. So as men tend to have an increased blood flow in the front area of the brain, which is called the frontal lobe, and they also have an increased amount of cortisol. Women, however, they experience emotional activity and they experience less cortisol activity. And so what can you do to manage or control and in hopes reduce the stress? So there are many types of activities that you could do to manage the stress, and like you mentioned earlier, having quiet time is actually one of them. So I'm actually glad that you do that to go ahead and reduce your stress. So one of the things, one of the suggestions for reducing stress is you want to find a support system. So being able to talk to someone about your feelings or your experiences or just your thought process about things, what's going on, is one of the greatest ways to reduce stress. Just being able to let it out from your mind, letting it out from your emotions, can help you just relieve that internally and just taking it out externally. So you want to speak to friends, you want to speak to a family member, a teacher, perhaps if you have any religious, a minister, a priest, or even a counselor. So sometimes we just need to vent out or get something off our chest. Another suggestion for reducing stress is changing our attitudes. So this is something great. There's always a way that we perceive things that someone does not perceive. So being able to change your attitude on certain things can help you not even get to the ability of receiving that stressful environment. So you want to find other ways to think about stressful situations. And so there's a quote here that says, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. So just changing our attitude and changing our way of thinking can help us control that stressful situation. So you want to talk to yourself positively. You want to remember, I can handle it. This will be over soon, or I have handled difficult things before and I can do it again. You also want to practice acceptance. We need to learn to accept things that we cannot change without trying to exert some more control over them. So another suggestion to reduce stress is being realistic. So you want to set practical goals for dealing with situations and solving problems. So you want to develop realistic expectations of yourself and others. So as we set our expectations or our goals very high, it seems like a useful way to push ourselves and get things done. But we may also set ourselves up for disappointment, which ultimately causes stress. Another way to reduce stress is getting organized and taking charge. So being unorganized or engaging in poor planning often leads to frustration or crisis situations, which most always leads to feeling stress. So you want to plan your time, you want to have like a schedule set, you want to establish priorities. So doing this regularly until it becomes a productive habit can sort of in a way help you manage how stress in your life will be. So you want to take responsibility for your life, be proactive, and problem solve and look for solutions rather than just worrying about it and thinking about it. Also, take breaks. Give yourself, your own me time. So you want to learn to taking time to yourself for rejuvenation and relaxation is very important as giving times to other activities. So at minimum, short breaks during your busy day is very helpful and useful. So you might purposely schedule time in your day to plan just a time for yourself so that you can recharge for other activities or things that you need to accomplish throughout the day. You also want to learn about your red flags for stress and be willing to take the time to do something about it. So red flags are things that you start feeling that you're getting to a stressful environment. So you want to make sure you're able to go ahead and see that it's coming, that the stress is going to start anytime soon, and you want to do something to either control it, stop it, or minimize it. And another suggestion for reducing stress is learning to say no. So learn to pick and choose which things you will say yes to and which things you will not be able to. So you want to protect yourself by not allowing yourself to take on every request or opportunity that comes your way. So it is okay to decline a request for a favor. Saying no does not mean you are bad, self-centered, or uncaring. Learn skills of assertiveness so that you can feel more confident and have effective ways of saying no. And one of the most important things is getting regular exercises. So although that is physically good for us and in reducing other disorders or diseases, exercising can also reduce stress. So exercising regularly can help relieve some symptoms of depression and stress and help us to maintain our health. So exercise can build our confidence, our self-esteem, and our self-image. It also is a great way to take time for yourself, to blow off some steam, and to release physical tension. Also, being able to have a hobby, something that you enjoy, is a great way to reduce stress. So it's a balanced lifestyle. You want to play as important as work. And one of the best things that I like is that a suggestion for reducing stress is laughing or using humor. So you want to do something fun and enjoyable, such as seeing a funny movie, laughing with friends, reading a humorous book, or going to a comedy show. You also want to learn to relax. You want to develop a regular relaxation routine. You want to try yoga, meditation, or some simple quiet time. So that is where I'm telling you that quiet time is actually a great way to reduce stress. Some relaxation exercises also include deep breathing, visualization, and muscle relaxation. Another way to reduce stress was actually brought up by Dr. Oz in one of his shows. And it's just a way, it's a 90-second therapeutic activity where we could go ahead and reduce stress. So this either could be done at work, it could be done at school, it could be done at the park while you're walking and you're just thinking about something stressful. It could literally be done anywhere. And it just takes 90 seconds. So I just want to show you this video and explain a little bit more about it.
So we have a 90-second window to circumvent a stress reaction that if we don't circumvent, it's going to create a knee-jerk stress reaction in which you're going to behave badly and you're going to regret it later. And so the 90-second window, the tool that gets you through the 90-second window in time is called the clear button. And here's how it works. Hold your palm in front of your face, and with the index finger, press the button in the middle, and you keep pressing it.
Right about there, smack in the middle.
Right smack in the middle. And you keep pressing it. You can close your eyes if you want. Relate to your breathing. And we're going to count to 3. We're going to think of each number as a color. So on the in-breath, count 1. And on the out-breath, think red. On the in-breath, count 2. And on the out-breath, think blue. On the in-breath, count 3. And on the out-breath, think green. Now release the button and let your mind go completely blank for about 10 seconds. Just be free of the world and all its stress for 10 seconds. And now you come back to the situation where a knee-jerk stress reaction might have made you behave badly. You're now clear to make a better choice, to make a better decision, to do something more positive and proactive.
The reason I'm so passionate about this is because stress is something we all write off to a little issue you got to get through in life. When I begin to learn about the color outline, that it's actually making us more prone to having Alzheimer's, especially some of us, it's no longer a minor little thing. Because the person you're hurting isn't the people around you, it's yourself. You should subscribe to my channel.
Right.
Don't miss anything.
So it's pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just takes 90 seconds for us to get a little bit of that relief of stress. And it's a cool way of doing it, and you can literally do this anywhere. Okay, so one of the last things that I wanted to go ahead and provide education on is a resource. So one of the resources that is available is the American Institute of Stress. Have you heard about this institute?
No.
Yeah, I actually didn't know there was an Institute of Stress. This is actually a pamphlet. So inside you will find blogs about people who actually suffer from stress, from extreme measures, from minimal measures. You would also find local events that they have for the community that they help with stress. And then there's also a membership which gives you more like magazines. They send you via email and through regular mail more information about, and there's just news regarding this condition. So that's a resource that you could go ahead and use. So from the information I have given you, what tools will you now use to help cope with stress?
I really like that video. I
Yeah.
think that was interesting. I mean, I want to watch it again. I mean, not that there's that much to it, but I think that seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was really amazing, and
Yeah.
I think it was funny how it rhymed. Like
Right.
2 with blue, think
Yeah.
3 because of green. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I feel like next time I have like a situation, like I want to try that and see if it works for
If
me.
it works for you, yeah. And now that you brought that up, something that we all need to understand as human beings, we're all different. So understanding that we all cope through stress is differently. And the tools that I provided you with and what I reviewed is that a tool may work for me, may not necessarily work for you. And so that's why it's important to always work through these activities and therapeutic regimens to reduce stress, because like I mentioned, something that works for you may not be working for me. And so you always want to try what works for you. And so trying that 90-second, pushing that button kind of thing may work for you. So always find what best fits in your lifestyle. And lastly, do you have any questions regarding the education teaching I gave you?
No, I don't.
No?
That was great. Thank
All
you.
right, perfect. Thank you.